I'm going to start this with a question. How would you feel if China or Russia created military bases on your borders, border of Canada and the border of Mexico? How would you feel about that? Would you be okay with that? Them coming on your borders and just bringing tanks and a military aircraft? You'd consider that a threat. It would be a major threat, correct? You'd take action if Russia or China or any competitive alternative country were to make military bases on your borders. Now that we've established that we would never want military forces on our borders, I can respond to some comments yesterday in the viral videos going around about the speeches from Europe that Putin had done. A lot of people are fixated on saying Russia invaded Ukraine for no reason. I believe that you started following the narrative of this story from the day Russia invaded Ukraine without actually looking into the history of why this happened. You just followed the Western mainstream media that wanted to give you a narrative to follow, and that's what you did. Okay, but let's debunk it now. There is Ukraine, there is Russia, and there is NATO involved. NATO is the source of this problem and the beginning of this war. And NATO is just the United States and their allies. So let's be clear. NATO is USA with all their partners. So NATO started to go closer and closer to Russia's borders. And this has been going on for several years. There is something called the Minsk Agreement. And I'm going to spell that out so you can go research it. M-I-N-S-K, Accord or Agreements. The first drafted in 2014 by the Lateral Contact Group of Ukraine, with Russian regular force playing a central part. Now, NATO kept on going on Ukraine's borders close to Russia, bringing their military forces. You remember the question I asked you in the beginning? We established that any American would not want any country at all coming on their border and bringing a military base and their forces there. This is exactly what NATO did to Russia via Ukraine. And that was how a lot of this started. Another thing was, Ukraine was in constant and clear violation of the Minsk Accords. And I'm going to show you a clip right now. And let's see what this guy says.
People don't know that the CIA got in bed with the right-wing Nazis in Ukraine to overthrow the democratically elected government of Ukraine in 2014. We had a peace deal. It was called the Minsk Accord. And then they violated. Who violated it? Ukraine kept shelling the Donbass, which are the Russian speakers in the eastern part of the Ukraine. And that's why Putin had to be provoked to invade to protect those people. Nobody will tell you that. Everybody who talks about every other news station, by the way, you're the only one doing this. And I applaud you for letting people come out and tell the truth about what's actually happening in Ukraine. Other stations, when I watch, what they do is they start the history of Ukraine from Putin's invasion. They never tell you that we overthrew their democratically elected government in 2014. They never tell you that they didn't stop shelling the people in the Donbass. They never abided by the Minsk Accord.
So please, stop saying Russia invaded Ukraine for no reason, when you would have done the exact same thing, if not worse. If any other country was coming onto your borders with NATO and allowing NATO to bring their military force, while Ukrainians constantly violated the Minsk Accords. These things are important, so please do your homework and do your research before siding with a corrupt government.